Good evening, everyone. This is Chad Millard. This is for AEP 858, and I am the principal for Truman Elementary School. Category 1, Problem Identification and Analysis. This is what I know. Reading scores are low, consistent with negative trend. I know that the parents and community is dissatisfied with the reading instruction. They have displayed their complaints about how the instruction has been going, and that has been pretty universal teaching and not specified to certain kids at different levels. The PTO has also sent me a letter requesting to address the concerns at the meeting. I know that as district reading supervisor for classroom observation and reflection, and an opportunity for school to receive grant to address reading issues. And our equipped curriculum is outdated and ineffective. What I need to know: what reading interventions are currently being used in each grade level. It's important that I understand where the teams are and how they are using their interventions. How teachers are addressing struggling readers in their classrooms. Are they doing small groups, individual, one-on-one type basis? How are other schools and districts teaching reading standards? It's important for us to know what other schools are doing, especially if they are finding success. And what professional development opportunities are available for my staff. Even as educators, we need to be lifelong learners, and we got to be willing to adapt and make changes to what's best for our students. What is the problem? I feel that students at Truman Elementary are struggling with reading. Obviously, we just stated through many concerns and through our scores. Need for staff to implement strategic reading in their classrooms. We need to maybe start putting some small groups and individual needs to keep kids interested and to grow. I know that PTO is unsatisfied with the reading performance at our school, and curriculum and reading practices are ineffective. There's been a negative perception of the school in the community. So we have a broad, but I guess not broad, but very specific weakness that we need to be looking into, and there's been a lot of different parties that are expressing their concerns. My plan of action: how do I resolve the problems? I need to hold a meeting with the literacy specialists and reading recovery teachers. It's good to start brainstorming and figure out where our strengths or weaknesses and what is our action plan. Form a team to look at data and explore research-based programs to deliver reading instruction across all grade levels. When we have a team that's formed that can analyze data, and that makes it presentable for staff, it can help us kind of show the direction we need to go and where we're coming from. Address reading concerns and direction school is heading with PTO. Incorporate differentiated instruction, individual, small group instruction. That is important for our teachers to understand how that can help each student, and it also keeps each child progressing with their reading. And we need to set realistic achievement goals with grade levels that align with school improvement goals. School improvement goals are important, and then we break those down to grade levels. When you have realistic goals, it obviously puts a better picture of how we can achieve, but it also makes us have something that we strive for that we can accomplish. Strategies for implementation. Conduct a faculty meeting with positive attitude, clear direction, and urgency to promote change within the way we teach reading. This is a very important thing that I think we need to work on. It needs to be opened. It needs to be direct. And we all need to start getting the same path of how we're going to reach these kids and increase our reading scores. I need to approach PTO meetings with an open mind and allow their voices to be heard. When it comes to anything with a child, it takes community, as they say. And I need to be willing to listen to the PTO and to the community and hear what they have to say and what they think our strengths and our weaknesses are. I do feel that we do need to approach it with strengths also, and not just be a negative thing. When we start showing strengths, we start putting ourselves in positive mindsets that makes the community want to work towards something instead of trying to tear it down. Search for staff members to help in preparation for the grant application. With a grant, obviously it can help our school with the funding that we need to have a better reading program, and clear communication with district, building staff, and parents. Everybody needs to be on the same page. We can't have something going from one way in a different direction at our school and our parents having it on another direction. It makes it confusing for the kids, and it just divides us, and we need to be united in order to reach our students. Resolve issues. What can we do for students to help increase reading performances? We need to explore best practice for delivering reading instruction. Allocate more time and resources for reading programs. We need to be able to break down our day and see where we can put in reading, and maybe even bring in different subject areas that can incorporate, obviously, reading. Revise curriculum standards to incorporate balanced reading elements. Focus classroom instruction based on needs of individuals and needs of class. I think it is important that when we teach a lesson in our class, that it is a broad spectrum of what we're trying to get, but then we need to break down that lesson into what's best for our individuals. And we need to work with a team to collect data to prepare grant application. Resolution to the problem. Staff development and research-based reading program, individual small group of instruction and small group instruction. Staff works together to vertical team and adjust curriculum. It is important that that grade levels know what the previous grade level has done and what the next grade level is expecting. When you start having that almost like that flow, it starts kind of showing where we're at, where we've been, and where we need to go. Carve out time in classroom for reading instruction. Provide transparent information throughout district, school, and community. We can't have anything behind closed doors. We need to show what we're doing and what we're going to try to get to. And inform PTO on implementation of a reading program. It needs to be a positive approach. We need to come in with an objective. We need to have a goal in mind, and we need to make sure it's positive. Debrief the problem. What was I thinking, feeling, and valuing? How to address reading issue with PTO. I was thinking about how we can do that. How can we research-based instructional practices must be implemented to demonstrate an increase in student performance. The feeling is unsettled knowing all students being instructed the same in all classes. And we need to value confidence of staff to take on challenge of implementing change in the way we teach reading. That one I think is very important because even though I am the captain of the ship, it's the mates that run it, the first mates, and how we handle it. And I need to be confident that my staff can take on this challenge and do what it needs to be taken. I need input from staff community that can be beneficial. Obviously, I addressed issues that we have that the community and staff has been made, and even with PTO. But now we need to start come together at what can be beneficial. How can we work together on this? Ability to communicate, value to be able to communicate with staff, community in a professional manner, and each and every student's success at Truman Elementary. Unresolved issues. What extensive support will be needed for staff? What can we bring in? How can they, what tools or situations do they need to have that support? What resources are available for student, resources for staff? What can we bring in for the kids as well as for our staff? Will teachers be supportive with implementation of new reading program and change in curriculum? We will never know if they'll be supportive. Obviously, we're going to put that in there, and we hope they take in that with whatever issue they have and do what's best. How will the district support our building, and will we be eligible for that grant? So we have a lot of issues that are going to be unresolved, but hopefully with planning and hard work from everyone that we can solve those issues. Application of PSL Standard 8. How did I act as an agent for continuous improvement by engaging families and community in meaningful, reciprocal, and mutual beneficial ways? By providing data from reading tests, having that transparency, speaking with PTO, and collaborating on ways to address the issue. Again, like I said, it takes a village to raise a child, and that's what we need to do with the PTO and even with our community. Share information on new reading and curriculum changes when determined by a school. Once we have come to that new reading program and what ways we're going to be making changes, that information needs to be shared, not only with our staff, but also needs to be shared with the PTO and community, so that we also are all working together on the same thing. And keeping people up to date by having a newsletter and a school website where teachers can put information on, school can put information on, and it's always been received by the parents. How did I use data presented to respond and communicate to a large community regarding concerns about the instructional program? I informed district reading supervisor of issue for ongoing support, staff meetings to address reading insufficiency, PTO meeting, newsletter, and school website, and the application for the for the grant for Truman Elementary. How do I use my knowledge of policies, laws, and regulations that govern the school to influence and bring about a positive change in teaching and learning that impact all student groups? We went through demographic information and achievement perception for grant eligibility. Obviously, with that grant eligibility, there are certain standards that we had to go through. Shared test data with all stakeholders involved. You can always keep it legal without using names, but we can always show, even with our community, what we're doing on those tests and where we're achieving, or strengths and weaknesses, and so forth. Provide proper training, resources, and support for staff to implement reading curriculum. Obviously, it's not just always student. We as a staff have to keep moving forward, and we gotta keep training to make what's best for our students. How did I establish an ongoing dialogue with decision makers outside the school concerning the efforts of teachers and students, and how these decision makers can effectively influence and improve instruction and student performance? One way we do that, how I did that, was communicate and work closely with the reading supervisor. I involved the superintendent and school board addressing changes that we need. State Department of Education, which we need to be applying for, which we apply for the grant. Outside professional development for staff, PTO meetings, newsletter, and school websites. So thank you for your time, and have a good night.